Okay. We left off on Nun Testament Aleph. Okay. Nun Testament Aleph, we were discussing in Tosas, Oni HaMahapich B'Charoro. So Rashi learns, what is Oni HaMahapich B'Charoro? You have a poor man who's pursuing a biscuit, an ownerless biscuit, and a third party goes, and after he's trying to take possession of it, a third party goes, preempts him, and takes the biscuit, and denies the poor man the biscuit. So the Gemara says, Oni HaMahapich B'Charoro is considered Rasha. The one who takes the opportunity away from the poor man, he's a Rasha. Because the person was invested some degree of effort to take it, and by preempting him, you denied him something that he could have had. He's a Rasha. And the Gemara says it doesn't mean only necessarily a poor man, but it means anybody who invested time in something, to acquire something, to purchase something, as the Gemara gives the example, to purchase a property, and if you don't, and someone else goes and takes it away from him, the person is classified as a Rasha. The Gemara spoke about a case of a piece of real estate. The Rabbi Chonius robbed to purchase a piece of real estate on his behalf, and then he purchased it himself. Or the Gemara tells of a story with Rav Gidl and Rav Baba. Rav Gidl wanted to purchase a piece of property, and Rav Baba initially wasn't aware that he took the initiative and he invented the due diligence to buy the property, and Rav Baba bought it himself. And later it was revealed he was unaware of it. But he didn't want to benefit from it because it's only HaMahapich B'Charoro, because he did something which was not appropriate, was unethical, even though it was inadvertent. His behavior was inadvertent. Nevertheless, he didn't want to benefit from it. So where it says he disowned it, and it was called Arad Chachomim, Arad Rabbanon. Or any Talmud Chacham who was able to benefit from that property. So Tosas takes issue, Rabbeinu takes issue with Rashi, and says that Oni HaMahapich B'Charoro has nothing to do with something that's ownerless, something that's hefker. So let's start from Rabbeinu Tam again. He cited the Gemara, stuff from Tosas. Oni HaMahapich B'Charoro bo'achi v'notlo. Pirsh b'kutris, the Mairi B'Charoro shel hefker. We're speaking about a cake, a biscuit, a pita that's ownerless. The kosher, mihodnam v'shnayim ochsim, Ra es ha-mitzia v'nofel lo aleo. Person sees an ownerless object and he falls on it, and he believes he's able to acquire it by just falling on it. O shepiris taliso aleo, he spread his garment over it. Uba'achiv v'notlo, and after he spread his, which was not considered a valid ma'aser kinyan, it's not an acquisition. Harishalo, it belongs to the third party. So from there it seems to be, you're permitted. So we said there's no proof from there. It says Harei Shelo. It's considered his. So he's asking this on Rashi. I mean, how do you see from there? I mean, everybody agrees the third party who takes away from the Oni, from the poor man, actually belongs to the third party. So what does it mean? The ruling is Harei Shelo. It is Shelo. So why is this a question? You will see the Rand, when he cites Rabbeinu Tam's proof, not like Rashi, he doesn't cite the first cases. He cites the next case. Person gathers peyo, that's the corner of the field, the gleaning of the field for the poor. And then the poor man, he spreads his talis over the peyo which he gathered. It says you remove it from him. The third party, you take it away from him. So the Ran cites the third proof is good. He says the Loshem, the word Mavirin seems to be it's permitted. You're permitted to take it away from him. You remove it from him. But according to Rashi, that if somebody takes the initiative and to acquire something, and you go and you preempt him, take it away from him, you classify it as a Rasha. The connotation of Mavirim, and you remove it from him, since it's something which is justifiable. The person is doing nothing wrong. So you see from there, from the Gemara of Mitzvah, that regarding something that's ownerless, we don't apply this principle to. Rabbi Tam will explain in a moment. Most of many poor people. He didn't do he didn't do an act of kinyan. It's not he picked it up. No, he didn't. He raked it together. So, which is not a kinyan. It still belongs to all poor people. Correct. And it says, even so, he definitely took the initiative there. He took the effort to gather it, and so on and so forth, and he believes it's his. Another poor man comes, he has a right to take it. That's what the Gemara says. Mavirin. You pass it on to a third poor man, and you don't condemn him for his behavior. So you see over there something which is ownerless. Although the first person invested time and effort, and there's going to be disappointment, he's not classified as a Russia. We allow the third party, the other poor man, to take it from him. No, it's not. See, the first the first thing that he cited, it's no proof. It says if the third party took it, it's his. Right? Doesn't say it's permitted. Doesn't say the behavior is considered ethical behavior. It's his. But mavirin, the word mavirin seems to be, we remove it from him, we take it from him, which is it's permitted. Vomer Rabbeinu Tam. The isam habich de nokar hocho lo shaykh elab davke shrotze oni l'harviach b'schirus usherotze liknos dover echod v'chaver magdim v'koneh. He says that this principle of acting unethically is only where a poor man wants to make profit on something through hiring himself out. Person wants to hire himself out for whatever it is, for a chore, for a job, or he wants to acquire something. And someone else acquired, doesn't mean ownerless object, acquires something for profit, and a third party goes and preempts him the koneh, and he acquires it. Vavidumi de Rav Gidl, and that's exactly what Rav Gidl. Rav Gidl originally did his due diligence to purchase a piece of property. Rav Abba comes along and purchases the property. I mean, it was revealed Rav Abba wasn't aware that Rav Gidl made any effort to purchase that property. So why was he purchasing the property? For profit. So we'll see. He wasn't aware at the time. No, but even factually it's only a mafakara, but you can't fault him. Rav Gidl, Rav Abba wasn't faulted for doing it. But it means over there, we can see Rabbeinu Tam. If you go purchase another property elsewhere, what do you purchase in this property? He's going to make a differentiation. If something that's ownerless, you can't tell me go find an ownerless object somewhere else. This is the only ownerless object that exists. So therefore, that's not considered unethical behavior. That's what it is. But if you're able to purchase a piece of property elsewhere, you're purchasing this, well, it's easier. I like this one better. It's a greater degree of profit. We'll see in a moment. That's considered unethical. No, it has nothing with knowing. Well, it's only unethical if you know. But even if you do something, you're unaware of it. But factually, you're denying a person something, doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. You won't call the man a Russia. You won't call the man a Russia. Russia, not. He's not a Russia. Why we class him as a Russia? Why you're pursuing something where another party made the effort? Go elsewhere. You want to make a profit? Go make a profit elsewhere. But if something's ownerless, what are you going to say to the man? Go find yourself something else which is ownerless. Doesn't exist. If it's a question of profit where I could do it elsewhere, you're doing the wrong thing. But go purchase another piece of property. Well, I want this. Wait a second, I want to clarify this. Let's say the person says, but this suits me. This takes my fancy. This is the kind of house I want. It's irrelevant. You have no right, because you want something. It's like making profit or making more profit. Here I'll make more profit than somewhere else. It's more profitable. You're doing the wrong thing. Just because you want to make more money, you can't make more money at another person's expense. There's always a certain preference of one over the other. You didn't make a deal. There was nothing was done. The person was just, he made the effort. Rav Gidl already made the effort. He was pursuing to purchase a piece of property. and buys it. Buys it. And the seller was agreeable to sell to the second person. The second person did the wrong thing. Was he doing the wrong thing? You had no right to offer him a higher price. If the seller, let's get the principles down, then we'll talk about the application. Okay? So, but the application. Listen, that's the case. You could beat anybody. Somebody has more money than anybody else. It's worth my while to take it, put you out on the street, if you could afford it. So that means that's only the wealthier man could put everybody out of business, because he always could pay the higher price. And ultimately, what does he do? Then he himself takes advantage of everybody else. I mean, ultimately, that's the way it works. Well, but that's competition. I understand. No, there was a whole different story. They wouldn't have sold it to the other person. He made Rav an agent to purchase a piece of property, and Rav purchased it himself. So the Gemara says it's unethical. It's deceitful behavior. He says no, because he understood the other person wouldn't have survived there. It would have been. He wouldn't have done such a thing, Rav, of course. Once it Umiu Koshe, Perkelo Yachpor. He says, but it's difficult. Rabbeinu Tam's asking the question on himself. The Kamer Hosom, Marchikim min Adag, Kimodi Ritzes Adag. I mean, the Gemara in Bavas is speaking about Hasogas Gvul. Right? Let's say a person casts his nets, sets his net out in the ocean, and somebody else wants to go fishing in that same area. And he casts his nets in the same vicinity where the other fisherman put his nets. Is he permitted to? He's not permitted to do it. That is, if his net was cast where fish would naturally swim into his net, you can't put your net in that same area. You have to go to another area. Okay? Even though fish are ownerless. The ocean is ownerless. You have a right. The Kamer Hosam, Machim min Adag, Kimodi Ritzes Adag, Al Pishu Shel Hefker. So over there we're speaking about something which is ownerless. Venira, the Hosam Hainu Time, Leshu Yored Lumnoso, Kehidu Kamer Hosam. There, because there we're talking about a person's livelihood. We're not speaking about, here we're speaking about purchasing a particular piece of property or a particular object. Here a man, it's his livelihood, and by you casting your nets where he put his nets, you're undermining his livelihood. That's already a different level. You have no right to infringe on somebody else's livelihood. We'll see, he says. As it says, person sets up in a certain location, a courtyard, a mill. He's going to mill wheat. He's going to grind wheat. And another member living in that same area, he also wants to set up a mill. We don't allow him. The first person is able to what? Prevent the second person from setting up his mill. Why? You're undermining my livelihood. You have no right to this. That's called Hasogas Gvul. Hasogas Gvul is a whole different concept. Even though it's hefker. V'od Omer Rabbeinu Meir. First, I mean, the whole question was a difficult question. We're saying, why do we say by a lost item, do we say that it's the concept of Onim HaBechorah has no relevance? Because you say there's only one, you don't find a lost item every day in the street. But fish, what? There are plenty of fish in the sea. So why do you have to choose this location? I've already cast my nets here. I've made the effort. Go elsewhere. Right? So it's the same idea. So even though it's ownerless, but factually, because I cast my nets here, you're doing the wrong thing. That's considered unethical. No, we're speaking about if this is the only location, that's something else. We're speaking about because he could put it elsewhere. He can. But he's answering something over here, even if he's answering even what you're saying. Let's say this is the only location where the fish run. Right? That's their avenue of whatever it is, where they go. So you know something? In that case, if it's a person's livelihood, it's like opening up a shop in a community where this community can only support only one such shop. The second person can't open. Says, but I need a livelihood. But just because you need a livelihood doesn't justify you undermining somebody else's livelihood. That's a livelihood issue. So could the fisherman, if Tosas answers because it's a livelihood issue, then even though he set his nets first in where the fish, where they swim, the other person can't cast his nets there. Because it's a livelihood issue. It says, Ritzis Hadag, where the fish in this area would naturally swim to the nets, you have to go set your net somewhere else. Even though it may be an effort, you have to travel maybe a few miles downstream to get them. It doesn't make a difference. No. The live, what? Spoke about it, something ownerless. Right now we're differentiating something ownerless, and it does not mean a poor man necessarily. It does mean a poor man. Anybody who's invested time in purchasing the story with the piece of property, I'm not talking about a poor person here, and somebody else goes and takes it, preempts him, takes the property, he's considered a Russia. Because you could buy property elsewhere. What are you coming here to buy this? It's not a livelihood. It's not a livelihood. You want to make profit on a piece of property. It's not your livelihood. It's not a livelihood. Many years ago, there was a question of Hasogas Kabul. Story goes back 25 years ago. A person sets up an electronic store, and he hired a young person to work for him, and he learned the business. And the other person, he opened, after learning, he also opened an electronics business. It must have been 20 blocks away. He summed them to a din Torah. Hasogas Gvul. This is my territory. So they said, what do you mean? You own New York City? I mean, well, before I was making more money by you opening the store 20 blocks away, I'm going to make less. It's not Hasogas Gvul. It's not I'm infringing on your livelihood. But that was the person's claim. You're infringing on my livelihood because if I had more, now I have less. But it's not, there's a question where I'm affecting of course you're going to make less. Because now there's no alternative to you. This is not considered I'm infringing on your livelihood. There's nothing wrong making less. You have one podiatrist in New York City, right? And he has to hire other podiatrists. Now somebody goes and he sets up his own office. So you're not the clientele not going to be as many. So what? That's Hasogas Gvul? Of course not. It has to be evaluated with Hasogas Gvul. Where you're actually going to put the other person out of business. Where you're going to put there are not enough clients to support both enterprises. That's the problem. See, it's not simple what Hasogas Gvul is. No, Hasogas Gvul is very difficult. No, not only that. Let's say you have a supermarket, and they sell inferior quality products, or the prices are totally astronomical prices, and they're really abusing the people because of the monopoly. Somebody else wants to come in, open a store. And as a result of that, they're going to patronize the second because the prices are going to be, and the quality of the food is going to be a different quality. He's going to carry other brands. The first person is not servicing the community properly. We're speaking of a person who services the community responsibly, and people are happy with the service. And now someone else opens, and now there's not enough of both. Then you have no right to put the first man out of business. You see it first? Okay, this is Rabbeinu Tam. It's interesting, there's a Gemara, the Gemara of Metzia. We had a case, Topsel Balchov Mokshem Chav Lacherim. We discussed this many times. The person is a debtor, and he has $100, and he has 10 creditors for the $100. And somebody goes and seizes the $100 on behalf of his friend. So he says, okay, person takes possession. So he's not a creditor, but he's acting on behalf of one of the creditors. Wait. We'll discuss appointing. Right? According to most Rishonim, even if he's appointed, it doesn't work. It's not valid. And the one person goes and he seizes the $100 on behalf of his friend because he feels if he doesn't, the other creditors may take the money first, and his friend's going to be out the $100. He seizes it. So says, Tovas Balchov Mokshem Chav Lacherim. It's not a valid seizure. Because you cannot benefit one person at the expense of others. So it's not a valid seizure. So if it's the people themselves, we're the creditors, we have a right to seize. If we seize it first, we have the right. But to represent someone at someone else's cost, that you can't. That's okay, good. Where do we have? I said we discussed it at one time. So the Gemara discusses a case. What about having magbiyah mitzia lechavero? You have an ownerless object in public domain. Person comes along, he has no interest. He picks it up on behalf of his friend. So also, someone says, so this is a gray area. Why is this gray? If it's a question where you have a creditor and a debtor, the creditor has a claim. He has a claim for that $100, what we call the shibut. There's a shibut, there's like a lien on the person. So therefore, by you taking it, you're denying them their right to collect, because they have a lien. He owes them money. He's the debtor of all of them. But what about an ownerless object? It's not, nobody has a claim. You have no claim to the ownerless object. You have a right that if you're there, you have a right to take possession. So if that's the case, it's not quite, well, it's not chav lacherim, but on the other hand, every person, if you wouldn't have taken on behalf of this person, everyone has the opportunity to take possession. So it's a gray area. So the Gemara has a shayla. Magbiyah mitzil chavero, konel chavero, lo konel chavero. We rule la halacha, magbiyah mitzil chavero, lo konel chavero. We equate that case to the case of seizing the debt. If that's what you want to do, gesundheit, but then it's not. Then you have to give the item to a third party. No, you have to give it to a third party. You understand? I'm happy to pick it up on behalf of the. I have no interest in it whatsoever.
By picking it up,
You
buy it yourself.
Okay. I'm not coming to discuss that. Okay. Howard, where are you going? Okay. Guess there's permission. Okay. Okay. So we rule halacha magbiyah mitzil lechavero lo konel chavero. It's considered the equivalent of chav lacherim. It's a detriment to others. So there's Gemara at the end of Be'ah. Now the Mishnah says in Be'ah that regarding tchum, right? Tchum has application even for Yom Tov. You're not permitted to carry beyond the city limits. 2,000 amos go to city limits. So let's say Yom Tov begins, and Shimon goes and borrows ingredients or a garment from Reuven. And Shimon's tchum and Reuven's tchum are not the same tchum. Okay, that means the area where Reuven could go, Shimon is not able to go. Could Shimon take the item that he borrows from Reuven on Yom Tov to the location which Reuven cannot go? So the Mishnah says no. He cannot take it. We say it's karagle. It's based on the limitation of the one whose ever possession was when Yom Tov began. The item is locked into that tchum. So when Shimon borrows it, even though he's borrowing and the man is happy to lend it to him, it's limited to the tchum of the lender. Okay, that's the Mishnah. It's a Mishnah in the fifth parak in Be'ah. Okay, so Maraz Shayla. What happens if a person goes and he appoints a person a shliach to draw water from a well? And says, I want you to fill up a bucket of water for me, and whatever. So there's a question, is it karagle hamimale? Does it identify with the one who drew the water? Or is karagle mishin ismale bishvilo? Yeah, before Yom Tov. He drew it, or he drew it on Yom Tov. Let's say on Yom Tov. He drew it on Yom Tov, same thing. Does it identify with the one who drew the water, or the one who the water was drawn on his behalf? Right? Wait, so Tosfos asks a question, but it's a magbiyah mitzil lechavero, right? The well, the water, it's like an ownerless object. By you drawing the water, what are you doing? So now somebody else, you're denying that person that bucket of water. You understand? So why is it chav lacherim? How do we even consider it that should belong to the one who we drew it on his behalf? If we classify magbiyah mitzil lechavero as chav lacherim, you're not able to function as an agent in that capacity. Oh, good. So Tosfos answers, there's a difference. Water is unlimited. So therefore, that aspect, the characteristic chav, has no relevance to water. But when you're speaking about a mitzvah, an ownerless object, there's only one ownerless object. Right? If you take possession on behalf of whoever you take possession, you're denying everybody else the right. Therefore, one's chav l'cherim and the other's not a chav l'cherim. I'm just bringing it out in terms of Rabbeinu Tam. So Rabbeinu Tam says, if it's an ownless object and somebody wants to take possession, you preempt him, you're not a Russia. Because he can't tell you go elsewhere and find an ownless object. But if it's a question of, so I'm saying, the fish, it's hefker. There's an unlimited amount of fish in the ocean. So if that's the case, it's me or some, no, what do you mean? Fish is like the water, right? You don't have to, what do you have to cast your net here? Go cast your net somewhere else. What are you infringing on my? I've already made the effort to set out my nets. So therefore, this would be considered, this is considered Russia. I mean, you don't have to come on to the reason of, because it's his livelihood. So I'm saying you only need that if, let's say, this would be the only run of the fish, and this is the avenue which the fish run, then it would be a question you have to say, because it's his livelihood, you're infringing on his livelihood. You'd have to say that. Okay? Vod Omer Rabbeinu Meir Ovisha Rabbeinu Tam. A few places in Shas. And Rabbeinu Tam Rashi only had daughters. You know that. Rashi only had daughters, and Rabbeinu Tam was Rashi's grandson. So Rabbeinu Meir was the son-in-law of Rashi. Vod Omer Rabbeinu Meir, the Rashbam was a grandson of Rashi. They were first cousins. Rabbeinu Tam, the Rashbam, they were cousins. Vod Omer Rabbeinu Meir Ovisha Rabbeinu Tam the Meir B'dak Mes Shein Derech HaDayogim Lohosim B'Metzudas Dag Mes. A person is a fisherman. How do you bait a net? You take a dead fish, you put it in the net. The moment you put that dead fish in the net, it's like magnetic. The fish in the area are attracted to that fish. Okay? The fish in the area, they immediately they sense there's a fish there, and they're attracted. V'kivin shezeh piris mitzudoso tchilo. Through the action, the initiative this person took, it's not only setting the net. He already put the bait in the net. The Ran explains this, recites this, because again, we see the fish as if the fish are already in the net. Let's say the fish would have entered the net, and then you would take the fish out of the net. There's no question you're a thief. So because the fish already are drawn or attracted to the net, we already see it's equivalent as if the fish are in the net, although they're not in the net. Therefore, over there, we don't allow it. But over here, where a person takes the initiative to take possession of something, factually, he didn't take possession, and it's ownerless, therefore, it's not considered unethical. You're not considered Russia if you preempt the person regarding the ownerless object. Now, practical halacha. Rabbeinu Yitzchok she'osa le'melami l'haske atzma la'balabayis she'esh lo melamed achi bebeso. In this case, a person hires a tutor for his family to teach his children, and somebody needs a job. He goes and he tries to convince the person that he should employ him, but if he employs him, he's putting the other person out of work. Right? Are you allowed to do such a thing? So you're not allowed. The other man, he has the position. By you offering your services, and you could be convincing, he may actually send off the first teacher. Since he's hired there, you need a job, go elsewhere. Same idea. Right? We said regarding a mitzvah, it's ownerless. You can't have to go find an ownerless object elsewhere. But if it's a question of earning a living, go elsewhere. What about the person who says, you know something? The fee, they pay a lesser fee elsewhere. But that's not this person's problem. That's your problem. Well, you pay a higher fee. Nobody pays the wage you pay. It's irrelevant. You have no right to take it. You're doing the wrong thing. That's oni ma'apib charora. How do you take away somebody else? Take it away from him. Definitely not. Definitely not. We'll see in a moment. We'll see in a moment. He discusses the case the other way. Let's Balbai says, I'm looking for someone else. Let's say it says, I'm looking for someone else to teach my son. Puts an advertisement in the paper, but he has somebody in the meantime. Person, stay awake. He has no right to tell people to stay away. If the father of the child is looking for other teachers, they have a right to offer their services. Now, this is an interesting question. What about a person that has an exceptional teacher of his children, and another person wants that teacher because he feels his child will learn better with that teacher? Does he have a right to entice that teacher, even by paying more or whatever it is, to come to him and leave the first person, the first family? The second person could go hire away the first teacher for his child. Go hire someone else. Yeah? Reuven has a teacher, an exceptional teacher for his child. Shimon could come and say, could try to entice the teacher to teach his son. And Reuven cannot say, go hire a teacher elsewhere. Why? The name Alei ein Ritzoni el Lazesher Kimedumali Shezei Yilmo bin Yofim Mimlamed Acher. This teacher is a unique teacher. This is like the ownerless object. No one could teach the way this teacher could teach. It's like you have an ownerless object. Could you tell me to go elsewhere, find another ownerless object? It has no relevance to Onei Mapeh Charora. So if that's the case, in that case, you could actually try to convince or pay whatever it is to draw the teacher away. I'll give you an example. A person has a school, and he wants to have a first-class faculty. And he's willing to pay. And by doing this, he goes and he recruits a faculty. But as a result, all the other schools are going to suffer. Doesn't make a difference. Well, it depends why you want to set up the school. If it's a question because you have a chiyuv, you have an obligation to, let's say, to teach Torah, right? You have an obligation to teach Torah, that's something else. See, we have to differentiate. A father has an obligation to teach his son Torah. And if you don't teach your son Torah, you have an obligation that your son should be taught Torah, even to hire someone. A person wants to set up a faculty. What does it say? You have a right to hire away teachers, to take teachers away from someone else. Go find yourself someone else, right? So don't set up a yeshiva. Don't set up a faculty, right? They're not really comparable. Malamed is because this is my obligation, and I have to teach my son to my best ability. No, you have a right. That he says you have a right because he. It's like the ownerless object. It's like the ownerless object. Let me ask you a question. You have an ownerless object, you have two poor people. It's either A's children going to bed hungry or B's children going to bed hungry. So B goes and he takes the ownerless object, it's his children. But you realize by you doing that, it's irrelevant. Right? You can't tell me to go elsewhere because there is no elsewhere to go. Well, Tosa speaks about it. We'll see Rabbi Duran. Duran speaks about property. Again, this is... Not clear. Not clear. Not clear. Yeah. Good. We'll see it around. See, it's not simple. The Gemara says that when it comes to teaching Torah, if you run a school in a community, I want to open another school. Although my opening the school, not to hire away teachers, I'm going to put you out of business. You have a right to open a school. Why? Because because when it comes to Limud Torah, competition is crucial to have the best quality education. So we're not talking about profit here. You don't open the school for profits. As a result of that, we have to look at what's most beneficial for the students. So if we're going to have a better faculty as a result of what? Of competition. I mean, why are people sending their children to your school? Because it's a better school. Okay, so upgrade your quality of education. Send them to your school. And that's the focus. So the whole concept of hasogas gvul, infringing on another person's rights when it comes to Torah education, has no application whatsoever. That's the Gemara of Bava Basra. So over here there's a Ran. The Ran asks a question. he speaks about. Because factually, the Gemara says, Oni hapech b'charora, was referring to the person as an Oni, as a poor man. She says, what about a wealthy man? Person has money. Is that called Oni hapech b'charora? Firstly, he cites the Ramban. The Ramban agrees with Rashi. The Ramban concurs with Rashi. That's by Hefker, we'll say Oni hapech b'charora. Okay, 1 second. Second. Yeah. It says over here. Yeah, he says, "Aval misha mahapech liskos min hefker." He speaks of another case. What about a gift? Somebody is giving a gift, and you go, and there are only so many people who could receive the gift, and you go and you apply, and by you applying, you're going to put someone else out of the line that he's not going to get the gift. You have a right, according to Rabbeinu Tam, right? Because I can't go elsewhere to get the gift. He says there's a concept known as bar mitzvah. What's the halacha if I have a property, and now there's a piece of property for sale next to my property, a field, and a third party wants to buy that property, and who has first rights to purchase the property? The neighbor who borders that property, butts that property, he has first rights to purchase the property. Why? Because it's easy for him to manage two properties which are next to one another than buy a third property which is elsewhere. What about if the owner of the land who wants to sell it, he wants to gift it to a third party, and the man says, I want to buy it. The man says, I want to gift it to so and so. You have a right to gift to whoever you want. The whole concept is vasisa yoshev hatov. You have to do what's proper, what's right. Yeah. So if you're going to sell it, which is the right person you should sell it to? To the neighbor, the one's property abuts it. But if I want to gift it to a third party, and somebody wants to pay for it, the man says, I'm willing to pay for it, so I'm not interested in selling it. That's not gifting it, that's selling it. It's for profit. You're doing it for a profit already. Look, maybe you say, the person, let's say, doesn't want to take a loss. So because he wants to cover what his original purchase price will sell for the purchase price. He's not. Maybe that would be the equivalent of a gift. That would be the equivalent of a gift. Because again, it's not to make money, it's really I want him to have it. But if it's a question purely a monetary issue, then the right thing is to sell it to the one who was abutting the property. Okay? So he says, Matana would be the equivalent of what if Hefker? Less mishum dina mametzer, dalmo, b'chiyai leko mishum vasisa yoshev hatov. So he quotes the Gemara, 1 second. See, an interesting case. He quotes the Gemara in Gittin, Oni amenakik rosh hazayis. A poor man goes, and he goes to an olive tree, an only olive tree, and he takes a stick and he bangs the tree, and the olives fall to the ground. Now the olives are on the ground. The olives are hefker, because the poor man, he didn't yet pick up the olives from the ground. A third party comes and wants to take the olives. Does he have a right to take the olives? So according to Rashi says, you're Russia. According to Rabbeinu Tam Similing, he'd be permitted. It's like an onerous object. But the Gemara says he has no right to take it. So seemingly that would be a proof to Rashi that even somebody that's hefker, we see the third party, even though the poor man, he caused the vibration in the tree that the olive should fall. Mash osur alpi shlo notel v'nosem biyad. It's a shiny hosam shetorach b'hem lapilam. There, his action caused the olives to fall. You understand? Therefore, you cannot take it. So even though he didn't do a physical act. No, the third party. See, no, but he's saying even Rabbeinu Tam agrees. Even Rabbeinu Tam would agree. There. Because I'll tell you, no, see, the difference is when you have the object and you cover it, you didn't acquire it. You covered it. You didn't do anything there. Leakate. Why is leakate different than that? Okay? Because Brahmansov, that's Rashi, you're right. That would be difficult from leakate to sapeya. I mean, the man made the effort to gather the peah, unless you can make a differentiation. Olives in the tree and olives on the ground, the initiative, it's a different level of initiative. Before it was the tree, it was called the tree. Now that you actually shook the tree and caused the olives to fall, it's a different entity. That they became another classification of entity, it's your investment of ability. Here, all you did is you gather. It's the same produce gathered in a pile, not gathered in a pile. That's what you have to say. It's ownless. It's an ownless tree.